Hello there. This is Fry. I'm attempting to do multiple things that I've never done before. So I'm going to dig into this Mac here, upgrade to an SSD. I'm also using Restream to see what it's like to broadcast to Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, and Mixer, which I've never even used before. So let's see how it goes. I found a pretty simple, straightforward video by a channel named How To and Reviews, and I'll put a link to that in the comments when we're done here. Let's get a little bit of background music going. Hopefully that's not too loud, but I have no way to monitor it. Yeah, let's go in by the level meter. We'll see how that comes out. All right. I've got this Nexilux or Nezilu or however you're supposed to pronounce that kit here with the security bits, a couple of pry tools, and apparently that's really all you need. So take a look at the old video here.
TR6 tamper-proof security bit. As you can see really closely, or hopefully you can, it's hard to see. The actual bit is a hollow bit, and it's because the actual screws you're taking out have a portion that protrudes from the actual bit itself. And this is just a plastic pry tool that came with the kit. You want to go ahead and pry off each corner. Now, as you'll notice, when I take this off, there'll be a few bits that are actually raised, and those raised pieces go inside.
Oh, it looks like there's some standoffs
plastic
there. Okay, so those are the corners we're looking for. I've actually got proper plastic prying tools. Usually, when I try to take something apart that's plastic, it ends up breaking. Hopefully this is the right bit. Hey, what do you know? Hopefully I can keep these screws straight, but at least I'll have a video I can look back on if I mess everything up.
Alright. And that's how it stays attached. You want to go ahead and unscrew these.
I don't think I take the little ones
When
off.
you do unscrew this aluminum backing here, you want to be very careful.
Oh,
You don't want to just pry.
Nice. Bit fits there too. I wish this driver was magnetic, but it is not. Hey, what's up, Leonidas? Welcome to my first multi-stream here. Oh, you're on Mixer? This is also my first time ever using Mixer. I've never even watched a video on Mixer. I just was checking out this Restream thing, and so I was like, sure, I'll create an account and see what happens. All right, next step.
It off quickly. You want to do it slowly because there is a Wi-Fi cable that is attached to the board. Now, as you see, as I pry this off very slowly, there's a screw you need to take off.
There. Okay.
And the screw
It's tucked in into the side too. Alrighty. The same bit. What do you know? Kind of grab this thing without just dropping it down in there. It's got a washer on it too. Hey, I got the washer even. Oh yeah. All right. There's that. Next step. This is going pretty well so far.
the same bit, The way that you'll know that this goes with this particular portion is that it has an actual washer on the bit. So what I do is every step of the way, whether it be the lid or taking off the fan or the Wi-Fi part, I keep all those screws together so that I know I don't get confused when I go back and replace everything. So once you take off this screw, you want to actually pry off with the plastic pry tool, or you can use your finger if you can, the actual connection piece that goes to the Wi-Fi board.
Oh, that thing just came off when I lifted it, so that's cool.
Okay, after you do this, you want to actually disassemble the fan. And you take the same drill bit again, or screw, the hex bit, take off these 3 screws, and they actually have like a rubber bumper and a gasket that's attached to the screw, and you know that they belong together.
That's got a big piece to hold on to there.
Once you actually remove this fan, you want to be careful because there's another cable that's attached to the board as well.
Not on this one.
Okay, and as you can see, the cable's right here. Initially, I'm doing this the wrong way because I wasn't sure how to take it off. So as you can see, I'm kind of messing with it a little. I even make a mistake by actually prying on the wire, which is a bad idea. You basically want to take it and you want to pry it upwards. Yeah, and I'll show you that in a second. You want to pop it up like that. Not pull it. You want to pop it upwards.
This is a good video.
So the next part is this. This is actually the hard drive. Now you want to unscrew this right here, and there'll be a little metal cover on top of the ribbon cable, and this is where the hard drive connects to the actual board as well. Now you also want to take this screw out here, and this one is close.
All right, let's pause that there. Little metal cover. I'm not familiar with this kind of connector. Give it a little bit of action and pops right out. All right, next.
Closest to the actual ventilation or the vent. Keep all those screws together.
All right, which screws now?
Vent. Closest to the actual board as well. Now you also want to take this screw out here, and this one is closest to the actual ventilation or the vent.
This thing's pretty clean in here still.
Keep all those screws together.
Had it for a year or so. It's been running almost non-stop. It's my daily machine that I use for
right on top of the cable.
Web browsing, you know, anything that needs a password or I want to remain relatively secure, I do on the Mac. Also makes a good interface for the phone.
This one is easy to take off. You can use the pry tool, or you can just use your finger if you want to. So after I pop that off, you'll see another cable that I have to take off of the board like I did previously with the plastic pry tool. This one is a little difficult because you have to do it kind of at an angle. There's no...
All right. That one is tiny. I'm going to try the little jeweler flathead here. This is a DJ mix I'm listening to of mine on Neutrino Records. Scott Beam, Get Back in the House. I need to record a new one. It's been a while, but I just got new needles for my turntable. Yep, that'll do it. Which means it's probably gonna get done for copyright, but whatever.
Room to really move the pry tool very well, to be very careful. When you pop this out, use your thumbs and push it against the vent and gently push it outwards before you push it all the way out. Disconnect the power cable. As you can go kind of at an angle, there's no room to really move the pry tool very well, so be very careful. When you pop this out, use your thumbs and push it against the vent and gently push it outwards before you push it all the way out. Disconnect the power cable, as you can see right there. Next, we want to take out this screw here.
All right, so is that all ready to take out? Let's find out. No, there we go. Comes right out, and then here's the old power connector. think this one clips on the side. I just can't really see. Yeah. It is a power connector, so it should just pretty much come off when I wiggle the wires a little bit, but if I can pop it off of there first. There we go. Interesting. All right. I think I'm gonna need the 6-in-1. That thing's a little bigger than what we're working with here.
And what we're doing here is we're actually taking out the assembly for the power, or the power unit.
Alright, so.
Or the power unit.
Alrighty. This thing's not that bad. Doesn't make it seem like it's open heart surgery or something. It's no worse than like a, you know, working on a PC laptop from, it's been a couple years since I've done it, but it's no more, you know, fine work than that. I still wouldn't want to take apart a MacBook. Those things are crazy.
And as you'll see in a second, there's a little prong that's on the bottom right here. Everything is very easy to understand once you see it. It's a little metal prong that you pull out. And then this little power connector, you want to just twist it out. And once you twist it, then you can slide the whole portion out. And then you can gently take out the actual hard drive tray. Make sure the cable's on.
Okay, so that thing, little clip in there, just pops out. Now this is loose here-ish. See, something about twisting it. What am I going to twist here?
Out. Once you twist it, then you can pull.
Right,
and as you see in a second, there's a little prong that's on the bottom right here. Everything is very easy to understand once you see it. It's a little metal prong that you pull out. And then this little power connector, you want to just twist it out. Once you twist it, then you can slide the whole portion out. And then you can gently take out the actual hard drive tray.
So
make sure the cable's on in the.
That's just the connector here. Once that disengages that from the actual case, and then apparently this thing should just slide out. Is that clipped on there? There we go. Wow. This thing's kind of neat. All right.
Way so you don't pull in anything like I'm about to do here. Now after this is pretty much just like if you're changing a hard drive to a laptop of any kind. Basically,
that's it. That was no big deal.
Where it's locked in. And for this one, you just need a T9 bit. It doesn't have to be the TR9, but the TR9 will work anything that the T9 bit works with.
Now, I don't know if I have the TR9 or the T9. I thought I had a T8. I'm hoping that'll work. Come on. Yeah, that's it. I would figure they wouldn't have a kit this, you know, complete that doesn't have the bits you need to, you know, replace a hard drive like this. I originally got this because it's got all the security bits for all the game systems and cartridges. Never planned on getting a Mac, but here we are. And I already booted up to the whatever recovery prompt or whatever it is to duplicate the hard drive onto there. Actually, I think I need to use a third-party tool because the SSD that I'm copying to is actually smaller than the hard drive that came with it. It came with a 512 spinning disk. Is 1 terabyte? Does it have 1 terabyte? Anyways, yeah, it has 1 terabyte, but I'm only using like, I don't know, like 180 or something like that. I have most of my data and programs on an external 5 terabyte drive. So there's enough room on the SSD with room to spare. And I've seen before and after comparisons with these Mac Minis. This is a late 2014 one with the hard drive versus SSD, and it's night and day difference. It's like 5 times faster. Which is good because goddamn if they aren't selling this thing with some outdated specs, they're still selling the same one. They still want $700 for it. I can't believe they're still charging $10,000 for that Mac Pro with specs from 4 years ago. That's ridiculous. I don't have room for one of their fancy iMacs with the nice fancy Apple screen on it because I have multiple computers and less displays than I have computers.
Now the SanDisk drive that I personally have is a thin profile. So the way you want it to match up is it comes with a plastic bracket that has adhesive on it. You want to put that on the top where the actual logo is of the SanDisk. Be gentle when you pull this out. There is a cable that goes through a slit. Now right here you'll see that there's another cable here that actually has adhesive. You want to gently pry that off. And below that, you'll see another piece of tape that's actually holding this whole unit to the hard drive to keep it from detaching itself.
Pause. Alrighty. Man, hard drives are so outdated. My HP workstation that I'm broadcasting on right now has a 256 gig HP Z Turbo drive, which is PCI SSD. This is designed specifically for these Z workstations. This is I have the HP Z240, which is pretty sweet. Mine has 32 gigs RAM, and you can actually upgrade the processors. Mine's got an i7, but you can put what are the new ones? Itaniums, or the server grade ones. You can put ECC error correcting memory if you need that kind of precision and reliability. Okay. So, all right. So yeah, it's stuck with this little sticker too. Stickers. It's funny. All right.
You want to leave half of it there because you're about to put it right back on your SSD.
That was literally just a sticker piece of tape thing. My thumbnail's not quite doing a very good job. Yeah, this will do better. I want there to be something left for it to stick. Not that it's gonna come flying off or anything. But if I'm gonna do it, I might as well do it best I can, at least for the first time I'm playing with one of these. Got to learn how to do something the right way before you can learn what corners you can cut later next time. Nothing's kind of cooled up on there, but whatever. I'm not too worried about that. Like I said, it's not going to come flying out and go flying down the street or anything. Are you loose? Just stick your ass off there. That is still stuck on. Work it slow, a little piece at a time. No big deal, and pop, there it goes. Boom. Get this modern technology in where this piece of crap came out of. And there's just a little bit of that tape stuck on there still, but it should be enough, you know, it's just dissolve it on there. And see, there's a lip on this drive anyways, so there's not much of a place for the tape to stick to anyways, but there it goes, and then stick that there.
Or your other hard drive, and you want to basically use that same tape to kind of lock it in securely.
All right, so these little nubs I need to take off too now. Let's see.
You want to leave half of it there because you're about to put it right back on your SSD or your other
Just your
hard
tricky
drive.
fingers,
and you
peel
want
that
to
thing
basically
right
use
off
that
in
same
one
tape
piece.
to kind of lock it in securely.
Okay. So seems to be right about over the old screw hole. Yeah, I don't think the placement's going to be that crucial. Get it? Crucial? Haha. Many thanks to my good friend Robert over at Mission Technical Services for hooking me up with this upgrade. Screw it back in. Pretty straightforward. Alright, so this needs to go through this little hole here, which goes in a lot easier than it came out. Let me just make sure this thing's on there nice and solid. Sure. Ding! These screws have little standoffs in them. So yeah, it's pretty easy to tell what screws go where. And they don't have an unnecessary amount of different kinds. They all have their own, you know, specific and obvious purpose. Not too tight. Not now, I'm busy. I'm busy broadcasting live to a worldwide audience of at least 5 people. Thanks for tuning in. This one might be kind of annoying because it's right next to where these wires are. I'm going to smush them down first. There we go. Bam. the vape break, I'll mute the mic here. Let's resume.
Screw it back in and see this the cable right here that goes into the slit. Did you want to be careful?
Yep.
Those are the tape, the pieces of tape that I took off from the other drive. I'm just putting it back on exactly how it was. And I took it from the same exact spot. Now this is a SanDisk Extreme Pro 480 gig. And this is part of the Tecton every bit 135 piece set. This one here is a security bit set. Very handy for...
Alright, I don't think you need to see reassembly, which is good because I don't think he shows it. Alright. I do need to rewind it because I don't want to mess around. So comes out. This thing goes in like this. In here. Easy, easy now. Yeah, there's little notch this thing just slides right into in there. See that black plastic? Oh, and it just fits right in there. Ding. And it lines right up with the screws. This thing's good to go status. Now, does this screw go in the same screw hole? I might as well put this back in first to find out. Alright. After I back up and double check here. Alright, so that comes out. Previous thing was the power supply. So yeah, it does use the same holder downer. So this is gonna go to the motherboard. This goes there. Oh, no big deal. Alright. So let's slide this guy in here. And there's the power cable for the motherboard. Turn this thing sideways so it's got room to fit. Now, does that hook underneath here? No, that doesn't have a hooking mechanism on it. It's got a piece of foam pad in there. So then I'll re-erect this thing. So I can get it to lock in there. Let's see how this thing fits. There's just a little slot there. And it's gonna rotate right in there, if we're lucky. All right, on the top, where's it go? There's another slot there. Pops right in there. I know everybody said these things are hard to work on. It just isn't. It just does not take their time and pay attention, because this is really not difficult. And this is a really good how-to. I'm gonna have to thank the person who made this. So then it has this clip here. How exactly does that clip in? I didn't quite see that when I pulled it out.
The assembly for the power, or the power unit. And as you see in a second, there's a little prong that's on the bottom right here. Everything is very easy to...
I wanted to use the pinch to zoom like it was a Mac, but it is not. Yeah, but I don't know if here's a YouTube trick. You can use the comma and period to go frame by frame. Okay, so that's back past where that lip is. Oh, that clips into the little plastic on the actual thing that I just twisted in there, I think. Oh yeah, that just slides right in. Nice job. Bonus points to whoever engineered this thing. This thing's very nice. That's it, and it's in there snug. Now this won't turn. It's freaking great. Now that was a little bit, you know, off there, so I just had to seat it down, make sure everything's in there before I put the screws back. And I put the early screws over here and the later screws over here so I can work my way backwards. I'm gonna need the right size bit, probably. If I were a betting man, I'd bet money on doing it the right way. It's probably the right way to do it. See if I can get this whole thing back together without needing pliers, tweezers, or any other squeezing apparatuses. Alright, are we already back to the Mobo? Man, there's nothing in here. Alright, I forgive this thing for being a slow piece of shit because there's goddamn nothing in here. Oh, where's my microfiber? I accidentally looked at it and now it's got a fingerprint. And I'll know it's there. It won't care, but I'll know it's there. These 3M microfiber cloths are freaking great. For stuff like fingerprints like this, you use it dry, or if you're getting something off your monitor, just, you know, get it wet and then squeeze out all the moisture that you can, and it'll clean better than any cleaning wipe or anything else that you're gonna try and use on there. Right. Make sure they got room for the power cable here. This has probably got some kind of slot loading design. No, I think it just shoves in there. Yeah, it's just a shover right in there. Okay, so here's my 2 cables for the hard drive. Make sure that those are, you know, free, not getting pinched by anything. Next thing is to get this power cable seated back in here. See if I bring it up and then I kind of bend it this way, then I can grab it by the cable itself and guide it in there. Not real familiar with these connectors and exactly what angle they like to be plugged in and so forth, but should be no big deal. Make sure. Yeah, I think I was going in too high with it. Is that in there? Yeah. Yep. So there's the little, you know, top first notch that you'll see when you're putting the cable in, and then there's a little row of connectors and it goes underneath that little row. And then you can just use the old fingernail and make sure that's sitting flush. Slide this the rest of the way in. Now I need to make sure it lines up here. There's a little rubber seal around where the power connector is. Make sure that's not, or it's like a silicone like gasket. Make sure that's not folded up in there when I slide this thing back on with the old Dr. Free Clouds Mixing Lab logo on there for extra bonus points when I'm making music. And it looks like it's got, see, here's that silicone thing, the other side of it. Little squeezes on the side here. Looks like that's what's catching, yeah. Those cables are still free. And I'll just, there we go. Everything's good. All right. So this is just gonna press right on there, I'm sure, the hard drive connector. If I line it up there. There, yep. It should just, once you get it started, you just give it a little nudge. Now these are the connectors that go in and then lay down. You don't pull them straight out. So this one's got a real short cable on it, so might be a little tricky, but again, without putting too much pressure, you can use the cable itself by bending it and kind of suggesting it in the direction that you want it to go, and you'll see that it angles down just the way I want it, just by giving it a little bit of a pinch before I put it down in there. Pull it back a little bit so that it can catch on the pins. It's kind of hard to do and have it angled up still. I'm gonna give it, see, I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a bend. I'm just gonna basically fold the wire over, and I need to hold it with something here. Not putting a whole lot of strain on it, but just to get it angled downward. So now it's angled downward there. So when I line it up with the pins, okay, so it's also got two notches on the side. So it has to go in and then down, and then the front goes in and then it snaps down like that.
Everything okay?
Which sounds a lot more complicated than it should actually be to do, hopefully. Yeah, it just kind of shoves in there. You don't have to get that whole part about the notches on the side. I mean, it is there, but it's not as big of a deal as it sounds like. So this isn't quite going in, so I'm going to lift it up to give it that angle again.
People talk to me about the old days. They say they want to go back. Back to the happy days of house. They say they go back to the days before clubs had medics. You know,
It's getting that angle.
to sling the twitching bitches, oxygen, drinks.
If I can use this guy
I'm not.
to lift up on the wire while I guide it in here
Stretches,
thuswardly.
disco, accessories.
Well, that's almost it. Almost it.
Stand still or go forward. We can stand still or go forward.
I can get the one side in, so let me try.
Stand still or go forward.
Since the other side is being the difficult one, I'll try that side first.
We can craft open.
think that's the winning technique, though. Let me slide this thing out just a tiny little bit. Pull up as much slack as I can comfortably out of there. Bend it down in the right angle, hopefully. Take a little up close photo of that thing. Where'd my macro lens go? Come on now. Oh well. I'll get a decent enough shot of it. Oh, there it is. This is a pretty cool little macro lens. It was a cheap one. It was like, I don't know, $8 on Amazon, but it does fisheye if you use that part, but if you unscrew it, it does macro. And the easiest way I found to line up these extra lenses is to put it on here and just kind of look for where the center is. And then as you clip it on, just make sure it's as center as possible. If I can get out of the way of the light here. And it'll be out of focus until you get right up in there. Get my head out of the way of the light. And ding. And yeah, so you can see that thing gets real nice macro image. And then instead of taking the whole thing apart and screwing this thing back in there, I just flip it upside down and use the clip to hold it in there. So back to the part where I actually get this thing in there. Oh good, the pins are actually really short too, which should make it easier. Wish I had some hemostats. Is that it? I think it's in there. Yep, that'll do it. Nice and flat. Good to go. All right. So this thing had the little bracket holding it down, which I'm gonna guess is this black screw here, because the only other single one has the washer on it, and the washer one is the one that holds the Wi-Fi antenna down. So, where's the driver?
What we're gonna do right here is go back. What we're gonna do right here is go back. What we're gonna do right here is go back.
Get on up in there, you.
Go back.
Hold that down nicely. And then, okay, what does this go to? We'll figure that out. I think that goes to here. It's over on that side of where I was working, so it has to have gone earlier in the process. So this one's probably going to snap in the same way with a down pushing motion. Oh yeah, so that was a lot easier because I've got more wire to grab onto. I need a light. It's up closer than my photo light. Pull it down. Sure, with some practice, these are nice and easy, but this is the first time I've ever used connectors that go in at this angle like this. If it was one of those micro Molex things, it'd be on, but you know, first time, I don't want to rush it. Also don't want to bend those little tiny pins. There you go. So yeah, it doesn't even have to, like, you don't have to insert it into the pins and go down. It kind of goes down on top of them. So I think I was making that more difficult than it even needed to be. Where does this big ass long screw go is what I want to know. That one goes there. Let's keep going and see if I can get it together and still use them all. Line this thing up with the vent duct there. Wire going to be under, okay, yeah, so it just needs to be on this side of the little hard drive connector and just settle down in there a little bit. When you're putting into something like this, it's got multiple screws on it. It's always best to start them all to get everything lined up before you tighten any one of them down. Tighten down the first one and then you get halfway around, they might not line up properly, so. Let's see. Let's throw on Kevin King's mix because mine's done. The shutdown. Threaded or anything, get in there. Just as I was saying, let me loosen these up. I thought that one was seated and threading, but Give it a little pressure. How are we not lined up here? Just need to come back a little tiny bit. Speaking of that macro lens, it also came with this really bright light. It's lined right up. Down pressure, hold on. It's lined up perfectly with that hole. All right, back it up a step, back it up. Okay, well this thing's a big ass long screw that goes all the way through into something. Maybe it's because this thing isn't seated all the way. Oh yeah, that's probably what it is. It probably goes all the way through to the chassis on the other end. All right, let's try that. There it is. That was the case. I've got to figure out where the mystery screw goes. There's a screw hole there. Could it be that easy? Could it just go right in there? No, it could not. All right, Magic Video, tell me where the long screw goes.
Actually pry off with the plastic pry tool, or you can use your finger if you can, the actual connection piece that goes. Now as you see, you need to take off the way that you'll know that it has that. So what I do is at the fan, all those screws, I go back and replace everything. This screw, you want to actually pry tool, the actual connection piece. Okay, after you do this, you want to actually disassemble the fan. And you take the same drill bit again, or screw, or hex bit, take off these 3 screws, and they actually have like a rubber bumper or gasket that's attached to the screw.
Hub plate's only one step back. I don't have to undo too much here.
It's the same process. Once you actually remove this fan, you want to be careful because there's another cable that's attached to the board as well.
Come on, long screw.
You can see the cables right here. I'm doing how to take it off. A little, I actually a bad idea. You basically want to take it and you want to backwards in a second, not pull it. So the next, this is actually the right here, metal cover on top of the hard drive connects board as well. Now you also want to take this screw out here, and this one is closest to the actual ventilation or the
That's
vent.
probably it.
Keep all those screws together.
Tell me that's the long one.
Next you want to just pop out that little metal cover I was speaking of earlier.
Sweet. That is good quality news right there. Right there. So if you're looking for the long one goes, there's that little brass or whatever opening right there. And that's what holds the board into the chassis itself. Along with the screws. Yes, there's 2 screws just hold the whole thing in there nice and snug. This is really a nice design.
All the amateur stuff, you know? I mean, if I'm paying top dollar, I want a little production value, you know? Like some editing, transition, something, some music.
If I'm paying top dollar, I want a little production value. Some editing. Back to the old case here with the Wi-Fi. And so these have kind of a standard little press-on connector, and then it's got the eyelet there for the screw that goes. The one that has the washer holds that in there, which isn't the actual connection. The actual connection is the little press-on part towards the end there. Hope they can use the wire to hold on to it as I maneuver it in there with the driver. It's a nice and slightly stiff cable. It should work. I'm sure that if I'll screw it part way in. Then you can see. Time for another picture. If I'm not actually explaining how the thing goes on, it really only takes a second. Too much light. Oh, this is the low setting. All right. Here we go. Don't want to leave this thing sitting out though, because it'll get dusty. Alright, so now that screw's partway on there, I can maneuver it over onto the little peg that it slides onto. Maybe if I push the wire, it'll just pop on over there. Yeah. And then just press that down. It'll barely even click too. I don't even know if you'll be able to tell if it clicks, but once it's on there, it won't slide back and forth quite as easy, but it's really not like a major pop that happens. There it goes. It was just a little, you can barely hear it and feel it, but that's all it takes. Pen that thing up. Wow, are you telling me that was it? That's nice. And I remember when I pulled this thing out, this was kind of shoved in here. Slide that thing back around. And then I believe the 3 triangular corners here where the big ones went, which holds the bottom plate on. I mean, it's a, security bit, but actually it's a you know, really nice bit for the application, just because the screws stick nicely to them, you know. Hopefully it boots. First try. Not that I mind playing with this thing. Can't have those unsightly fingerprints. Get that microfiber in there. If I'm gonna do it, I might as well be all perfectionist about it. All right. This is the way that goes, isn't it? Oh, I offset one of them here. Derp. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I offset two of them. Okay. So the one that's closest to the connectors in the back is one of the tall ones. That's all I need to know. I mean, look at how small these screws are. Compared to my big old gigantic fingers. I mean, there's a reason why I play bass and not guitar, is because I can't hit those little tiny strings and play chords accurately, but I took this whole thing apart and put it back together without dropping a single screw once, which is pretty neat. So then, yeah, see, these things just pop right in there. Look at that. Hey. All right. Well, I need to kind of clean up the wiring and just get everything back into position. But I'll post an update on how everything worked. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want to give me a tip, the links to my Patreon or the PayPal for a one-time donation is down below. Twitch has been my preferred platform of choice, but we'll see how this syndication goes, and have a good one.